thank Lisa so much and Brady for opening up their home for us tonight to be here. This is my third event.
Make sure you're not allowed in our home, just out
Out
back.
back, just out back, not in the home, out back. I love being out back. This is our third event today, and we started off in the Bay Area. And this is my third trip to California in my capacity as running for statewide office. California progressives have been amazing for me for this race, and I just thank you so much. When I first met Lisa, and I got to give a big shout out to Linda for bringing us together, and she told me the story of saying to Linda, why would I care about Ohio? You know? And by the time the night was over, we knew that we were kindred spirits. I have admired her from afar for all of the great civil rights work that she does in spaces and places where people don't have the courage to speak truth to power. And we need more people like Lisa, whether they're elected or not. You know, Dr. King once said that we all can be great because we all can serve. And people don't need fancy titles to be in the service of humanity. But we all better together. So Lisa, I am so eternally grateful that God brought us together. You are my warrior sisters in the realm of the legal. She is. I want to thank my husband and my son so much. I know my son is out changing clothes, but this is my husband right here. And they came to California. I had people ask me, when are you guys going to get a chance to take a vacation? This is not a vacation, but I rarely get a chance to see my family so much that I asked my husband and son if they would not mind to travel with me for a day and a half of just run, just so we could be together. You know, it's all about togetherness. So I'm so glad that they did that. I could not do everything that I do without their support, and I just really love them very, very much. Again, it's a pleasure. My God, you guys got me spoiled. When I go back to Ohio, I'm not even going to know how to act. I mean, just kind of views, you know, motivated.
Drink it up now.
Drink it up. I'm soaking it up. Soaking it up. But why should you all care about Ohio? You know, as Ohio goes, so goes the nation. And it is so vitally important that we have people in positions of power who actually care about people. I don't know about you, but I'm really sick and tired of the okey doke. I'm sick and tired of the political speak. I'm sick and tired of people running for office when all they care about is their next election, how much they can gain as individuals, and they don't give a damn about the people. And that is the problem. So as a state senator, I have stood up for those who don't have a voice. And there are many people who don't have a voice. Some of the creative things that I was able to do in the Senate, and I'm going to get to why I am running for Secretary of State, because I could have run for a second term. But you know, when you have legislators, when the unemployment rate is high and people are suffering, and they want to introduce legislation to drug test welfare recipients. They want to marginalize people who are already suffering, already poor. I don't know about you, but I've never met anybody who said the following: when I grow up, I want to be poor. I want to be on Medicaid. I want to be on public housing. Woo! This is the life for me. But I do know people who fall short sometimes. Everybody doesn't run the race at the same pace. So as a state senator who is outnumbered, the GOP, they have a supermajority in the legislature in Ohio. I went to my colleague and I said, Senator, why would you introduce legislation like this? He said, well, you know, Senator, I have to protect the taxpayers' dollars because a lot of those people are on drugs. I said, okay. I brought them data that showed that the majority of poor people on assistance are not necessarily, they don't abuse drugs at any higher rate than anybody else. I said, Senator, why would you introduce this legislation? I got to protect the taxpayers' dollars. I said, okay, I'm fine with that. Well, you know what? I'm going to introduce a piece of legislation of my own, and that is to drug test the members of the legislature. You know that if it's about protecting the taxpayers' dollars, then let's level the playing field. Because we control $1 billion budget. So let's protect. And by the way, let's drug test some of the CEOs of corporations that receive corporate welfare. Let's do that too. To protect the taxpayers' dollars. So, you know, for me, you know, I am a Mother Jones kind of girl. And Mother Jones once said that she would pray for the dead and fight like hell for the living. And that is how I roll at all times. to stand up for people who cannot stand up for themselves. The best way to help people who are poor or people who may be on assistance is to help them get jobs so that they are gainfully employed so that they can live out their greatest greatness. You know, people don't get up for decent, people get up for good and for greatness. People are suffering in this country. How is it that we have members of the House of Representatives on the federal level, instead of serving the people, they want to sue the President of the United States of America? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So the power is in the hands of the people. In Ohio, when they introduced legislation to mess with a woman's right to choose, I don't know a whole lot of people that are pro-abortion. I just know the people who are pro-choice. That we want it to be safe, legal, and rare. That it is a medical procedure, just like anybody else's. I couldn't believe the track laws and taking away funding for Planned Parenthood. I was losing my mind. So I said, you know what? There's an app for everything. So I'm going to introduce legislation. I said, because as a female legislator, caring about whether or not we educate our children, caring about whether or not people are gainfully employed, caring about voters and workers, I should not be doing any of that. I should be regulating a men's health. So I introduced an erectile dysfunction bill in the legislature, and I mirrored it after the heartbeat bill that one of my Republican colleagues introduced. I took his language. And guess what? I had science attached to mine. Because those pills cause some heart problems, right? They got some heart problems. So in order for a man to get the pill in Ohio, they would have to have a signed affidavit from their significant other attesting to the fact that they got challenges. They have to get a cardiac stress test every 90 days. And the doctor would have to sit them down and talk to them about their options because they can't make decisions without government telling them what to do. They're fragile and feeble-minded. The doctor would have to explain to them that there are other cures that don't cause stress on the heart. One might be a natural remedy, the other might be celibacy. That will clear it right on. And I remember being interviewed, internationally. Senator Turner, are you serious? Are you serious? Oh yeah, I am serious. I am serious. In 2014, there were 468 measures introduced to regulate women. 468. You know how many were introduced in 2014 for men? Zero. Wow. My bill was introduced at zero. These are the kinds of fights. And it's not just about women controlling their reproductive health. It's about us controlling our economics, too. The fact that in 2014, women are still not paid on average dollar for dollar. And if you're an African-American woman or a Latina, even less than that. When women have families to support, does it make sense then to sue the president? You should be serving the people. When our young children who go off to college are saddled by debt in the trillions of dollars, you decide to sue the president. Instead of investing in infrastructure investment, $23 billion, I think is what the president asked the Congress for, you decide to shut down the government and cost the taxpayer $26 billion. So something is wrong with all of that. So I'm running for Secretary of State because I believe that in the space of elections, that people still have the power. The whole notion of government by the people is still vitally important. And most people will not run for office like me and Mary. So you must vote. If there is a correlation between the ballot box and the bread box, you must vote. So if you want children educated so that they can live out their greatest greatness, you must vote. If you want women to be able to control their own healthcare decisions, and oh, by the way, make dollar for dollar as a man, you must vote. If you have infrastructure concerns, you must vote. If you want better laws, you need better lawmakers, better policymakers. It is all in the power of the vote. So in 2008, the state of Ohio delivered for this country. We came through. Everybody knew that when Ohio was called, that President Obama was there. In 2012, it got kind of dicey in Ohio. I don't know how many of you remember the first debate and where you were during the first debate. I remember where I was. I was at a public gathering of Democrats and Republican professionals. They brought us all together. They said, Senator Turner, we want you to headline this event. I opened up the event. I had my chest stuck out. I said, oh, I know the president's going to win this debate. I'm not worried about this. I took my seat in the front, all proud. 5 minutes into the debate, I thought I was in the Twilight Zone. 10 minutes into the debate, I thought the body snatchers had come and taken the president. 15 minutes into the debate, my husband came over to me. He said, baby, I got to get you out of here because it ain't going to get no better. I was sick. I don't know about you. I couldn't even get out of the bed the next day. I was sick. I said, here is the president that the first bill that he signed into law was the Really Bad Better Act. I said, here is the man who is the commander-in-chief over the military that found and killed Osama bin Laden. I said, this is the president that bailed out the auto industry. He pushed forward an Affordable Care Act that I know needs some tweaking. However, people with pre-existing conditions and children under the age of, just trying to do the right thing. I said, oh my God, this man lost this debate. I don't know what's going to happen here. And then I get a call from Ed Schultz to be on the show. And he asked me the question. He said, Senator, will Ohio deliver for President Barack Obama? And I looked dead in that camera and I said, oh yeah, Ohio will deliver for President Barack Obama. But what you guys didn't see, and Lisa knows, is they keep us in green room. And I went to that green room and I got down on my knees and I said, Lord, please help us deliver. I said, I'm on TV selling all kinds of wood tickets. And we need some divine intervention. I remember that. I was serious about that. But I went, my husband and I, we traveled the state and we put work behind our state. And so I want you to go backwards to come forward, that we cannot skip over 2014 to get to 2016. And as Ohio goes, so goes the nation. And the reason why I needed to make an investment in this race, one woman, one man, one vote. And the greatest equalizer that we have is the voting space. It is the only place where social economics doesn't matter, where gender doesn't matter, who you love doesn't matter. You can vote. It is the power of the vote that will change the dynamics of this country. We are 50 years from the March on Washington for jobs and freedom. We are 50 years this year from the Freedom Riders, the Freedom Summer, where young African Americans and white children went into the South to help to register African American senators who were being denied their access to the ballot box. We need a Freedom Summer remix. If you're concerned about what's going on in Ferguson, you're concerned about some of the stuff that's happening here in California, whatever you're concerned about, all of that can be changed by the power of the people, the power of the vote. We are better together. And so what motivates me, what you might not see on TV, is where I come from. There's a song in the African American tradition that asks the question, how I got over, my soul looks back and wonders. I am a first-generation college graduate. I am the oldest of 7 children. My siblings and I lost our mother at the age of 42 years old. An aneurysm burst in her brain. She was in a coma for about a week or so, and then as her eldest daughter, I had to decide when to pull the plug. My mother was not a perfect woman. She struggled. She died on the system of welfare. She didn't have a life insurance policy. She had no money in the bank, even though she came from a middle-class background, a 2-parent household. But everybody doesn't run the race at the same pace. And so it is incumbent upon all of us to have some empathy one to another. And so I bring my empathy in my service in the state Senate, understanding that people need to be lifted at all times. And so although my mother never lived to see her eldest daughter walk across stages, get fancy degrees, sworn into office, I know that she's in heaven saying, you go girl, you continue to fight for our children, you continue to fight for the working poor, you fight for the middle class, you fight for social justice and human rights, and I do that unapologetically. I do not apologize for standing up with some passion. I can't tell you how many people I've had say to me, Senator Turner, you might be going to call you an angry black woman. I said, they can call me what they want, because I am mad as hell. I am mad that being in a nation that has so much wealth and so much greatness, that so many people are struggling. You know, I spent downtown last night in downtown Los Angeles. And you know, every city has its struggles, but it was in my face as I walked the streets of Los Angeles just to go to Walgreens, to the drugstore. I saw people digging out of garbage cans just to find something to eat. I saw people laying on the street. And it was just a reminder to me as to why we need people elected to office who will create pathways of opportunity. Instead of suing the president, they should be serving the people and putting the resources in place so that people can live their measure of the American dream. I feel like I am on assignment, and that is why I am running for Secretary of State. I know it is a big climb, a big lift, but I am going to win this seat. And I am going to make sure that people in Ohio, it's a ballot box, and it doesn't matter to me if they lean a little red, a little blue, a little country, a little rock and roll, a little R&B. I just want people to vote. I'm going to be the cheerleader in the sheep. People are going to get so sick and tired of hearing me talk about voting in Ohio. They're going to say, this lady keeps telling me I need to vote. And there's no such thing as an off-year election. We got to stop saying it. Don't let people say that to you. Voting for a school board member, a township trustee, a mayor is just as important as voting for the president of the United States. And in a representative democracy, we don't get timeouts. You don't get a timeout. In our form of government, you must be on every single time. So I wear this in my heart as a badge of honor to be a servant of the people. Not somebody with a title, a servant of the people. So I want to close and open up with questions with three things that if you don't remember anything else I've had to say here tonight, that I believe that the Creator of this universe has given us two hands, one to record and one to reach back, lifting as we climb. You are our sisters and our brothers keepers. Then number two, we can't ask other people to do more for us than we are willing to do for ourselves. I think Frederick Douglass put it this way: you might not get everything that you work for, but you will work for everything that you do. And lastly, in the words of my grandmother only had a third grade education. She couldn't read or write, but she could count her money. And she kept her money in the Southern Ladies Bank and Trust with a handkerchief. I remember asking Grandma for some money. She pulled it out of that purse. How much you need, baby? But she had mother wit. You know, she had mother wit. And I asked my grandma, Grandma, what does it take to be successful in this thing called life? She said, my dear granddaughter, all you need are the three bones: the wishbone, the jawbone, the backbone. She said the wishbone will keep you hoping and praying, because hope is the motivator, but the dream is the driver. The reason why we do what we do every single day is because we hope and believe that tomorrow will be better than today. The reason why Fannie Lou Hamer, a sharecropper in Mississippi, stood up is because she believed in all her heart, didn't have a fancy title, that tomorrow would be better than today. We need the spirit of people like Fannie Lou Hamer to stand up. My grandmother said the jawbone will give you courage to speak truth to power. Marianne, I know that's a big deal for you. Or in the words of Dante, the hottest places of hell are reserved for those who in times of great moral crisis choose neutrality. We cannot be neutral. There's too much work to be done. But Grandma said the most important bone, the superfragilitaristic expialidocious bone, is the backbone. Because the backbone will give us the courage to stand up no matter what. In this life, we all go through something, both great and small. And we can't have a testimony without the test. And we are being tested right now in this moment, in this synergistic moment of 50-year anniversary on some pretty important things in our nation's history about whether or not we are going to stand up and deliver. And what will history write about us 50 years from now about what we did to make this world a better place for somebody else? We must stand and deliver. And so with that, I am going to close my remarks and open up for questions. But again, I want to thank you.
Thank you guys all for watching. That was Nina Turner. She's running for